Every Monday night, you're checking out Breakfast Soup Raw.
Enjoy as Don, Tony, and Mish spill the soup about pro wrestling, sports, news, and pop culture. Breakfast Soup Raw.
Breakfast Soup Raw.
And now, your host, Mish and Don Tony.
All right. It's not just the road to WrestleMania starting, it's the road to the Elimination Chamber. And props to everybody who brought it up yesterday. Four-letter word. Begins with an L, ends with an A. And Lita. I know. What do people say? That sweet Saudi money? Who gives a shit? Lita gets one more run, so to speak, performs in Saudi Arabia, gets a match versus Becky Lynch. Unfortunately, I think we know what the outcome is going to be, but who cares? It's nice to see Lita, back in WWE for a little while. Ronda Rousey back on Raw for the first time since the beginning of April. Well, technically the end of March 2019. And we already have Elimination Chamber set. The WWE Championship will be defended. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Good evening, everyone. This is Breakfast Soup Raw for January 31st, 2022. I am Don Tony, and he is
Anthony Missionary Thomas. What's going on, DT? What's going on, chat? Hope everybody was able to go through Raw tonight. Obviously, people are still split after Saturday's Royal Rumble. I saw a lot of people that were very unhappy, and I saw a lot of people that had a good time. It was probably one of the most split Royal Rumbles I've seen as far as people's opinions on it, which is good. I mean, controversy creates cash, as we've learned from ATM Eric. And even though I don't know your thoughts yet, I thought Raw was a little lackluster tonight. There were some highlights, but for the most part, it didn't feel like the Raw after a big Royal Rumble. But I digress. We're already getting ready for the Elimination Chamber in Saudi Arabia, and it looks like they're already starting to kick things off tonight, as you said, with Lita.
Yeah. Royal Rumble, and I brought this up yesterday during the sit-down episode. Some people liked it. Some people thought it was Some people hated it. Nobody is wrong, whether they really liked it, didn't like it all that much, or hated it. The only thing that I hate is that just because you think it was okay, people have to put you down for it. Look,
that's part of the territory, DT. We've seen that how many millions of times over the years. But let me ask you something. Were you a little surprised that there were so many different reactions to the Royal Rumble, from, like you said, just absolute hatred to people that
yes,
for it?
And I'll tell you why. And I talked about this yesterday. We had 25 of the 30 men previously announced. Yeah. And a lot of people expected Brock Lesnar to be in that Royal Rumble. That leaves 4 people that was not announced. Now, you look up and down that roster, with the exception of Finn Balor, and we thought NXT stars like Tommaso Ciampa and Pete Dunne were going to be in it. So let's just say we all thought that 2 NXT stars was going to be in it. That leaves you only 2 spots open. We knew the rumors of Shane McMahon since Friday that he was going to be in there. So that leaves only 1 spot open. So I don't know what kind of surprises people expected that didn't get it with only 1 slot open. I will say, and look, we got Bad Bunny, which was surprising. I thought, I was trying to think to myself, did I not like the men's Royal Rumble match because of the lack of surprises or the predictable outcome in the end? And
well, that outcome was so predictable, DT, and I talked about it on social media and I talked about it on Wrestling Soup. they had 9-4 odds on
Yes.
Brock Lesnar, and he wasn't even cited for the Royal Rumble match yet. So Vegas already had the lead on Brock Lesnar. I think AJ Styles was the second pick, and I believe the third running pick at the time that I was actually looking at it was Big E. And as we've seen, obviously Big E's already been transferred over to SmackDown. I think a lot of people have mixed reactions about that. And of course, obviously Brock Lesnar ended up winning it. So Vegas knew, baby.
Yeah. And, I look at it like this, it was an average Royal Rumble. To me, is it one of the more memorable Royal Rumbles? No. Was it shitty? No. I mean, but to me, it just felt like an average match. It was just average,
yeah.
but
it was. And you know what? When you brought up the thing about there wasn't enough surprises, I mean, if you look in correlation between what they did for the Women's Royal Rumble with all the girls that they brought back, that some of them we haven't seen in a long time. Dude, I was ecstatic when I saw Ivory come down in the right to censor. I was ecstatic to see Molly Holly make a return and get gored out of her shoes by Nikki Ash. I mean, the surprises on the women's side, whether you liked it or not, was absolutely far more than whatever we got with the men's side. And I mean, if you look in hindsight, you look at all the talent that WWE released over the last year, almost 100 people last year, there was absolutely room to give some fans some surprises. And I agree with you. At the time, people thought there might have been NXT people. I heard Goldberg's name throughout there. There were absolutely people that could have been there. We've seen Carlito. We maybe expected him back. And there was a lot of opportunities that WWE should have taken. And instead, I think they went the lazy route.
The safe route.
By having Madcap Moss and
the safe route.
A lot of these. Yeah, but it's, man.
Well, this is what I said also yesterday. This is not to start fights with people who totally disagree with our views. But, WWE's creative has been like this for a couple of years now. I mean, they didn't do anything different creatively for this Royal Rumble that they would have done for other things, yet they still drew 45,000 people. It's very hard to really argue with WWE when they draw 45,000 instead of 4,500, when they're billions in revenue. Like, how do you argue that? Seriously, I mean, if fans really in droves are against this, then the only way WWE is going to really shake it up is when they do see revenues go down, when they do see attendances nosedive. Having less Google searches is not going to do much of anything. It's not going to do much of anything. It's the revenue. And, I'm reading and watching people yesterday annihilate the show, and they have that right to that opinion. But I see 45,000 fans that still went. So it's really hard to, have an argument for that. But hey, the end result.
Creative side of things, I don't think it's the creative side of things. I mean, clearly, maybe they could have found another way to put Brock in the picture, because if Vegas already had their odds down 9-4, don't you make a last minute decision?
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
I'm not saying like Vince or any executives, but it is legal to bet on wrestling. It is legal. If you work in WWE creative and you know what the outcome is going to be, is it against the law to go and bet on a match? I'm serious. I mean, there's got to be some type of illegality about that, because, hey, if I work in creative.
No. There is an illegality about that. I think I've seen that before, where if you're a staff or a member or a family member of somebody that works directly within WWE, and they find out, you can be liable.
Right, that's WWE side, but I'm saying
But the smart thing, DT, would have been if you're a booker for WWE and you saw that Brock was slated to win 9-4, you change that fucking finish.
I'll say this.
finish.
The fact that they put the Brock match on so early in the night, that's when everybody's like, oh, he's in the Rumble, because they're going to give him time to rest and relax and then come back out later on. So that almost felt like a telltale sign. So, Garth, as far as WWE signing with Disney, I talked about it in detail, I believe, on Thursday. So just go in the channel section, just type in Disney, and you'll see the post about it. Well, let's. I
don't know if you talked about that too, and I'm not going to get into it, but did you talk about the fact that Hulu is Disney too?
Yes.
Because a lot of people don't realize that Hulu is part of Disney, so it's not like it's this big surprise, because WWE's been with Hulu for how many years, DT?
Yeah. Look, man, that latest Nick Khan interview, I don't know if you've checked it out yet. You got to go out of your way. It's with sports, gaming or sports something. I don't know. I talked about it on Thursday. It's crazy. You actually and it's just, once again, it's dart after dart after dart, basically showing, and I brought this up yesterday too. Look, whether everybody likes WWE or hates it, whether they like creative or hate it, whether you're more of an AEW fan or a WWE fan, whatever you rocks your boat, it's cool. I respect all of it. But I will say this, especially after the Shane McMahon news article that came out this morning, people are going to start realizing one thing that is in common with every news outlet and every podcast that reports all of this anti-WWE creative news. Because for those that don't know, and we're going to get right into Raw now, but for those that don't know, this big news story came out somehow on Sunday, whatever, that, and I have it in front of me, that Shane McMahon has massive heat right now because he was one of the lead writers and producers for the Royal Rumble, and Shane McMahon made the Rumble about himself. It's just one thing I want everybody to remember. When you read the websites that write that, when you hear the shows that fawn over that, they all have one thing in common when they report that. They all hate WWE creative, especially a McMahon. I mean, you look down the line, it's called agenda-based, news. People said it about Fox with politics. People said it about CNN towards Trump. It's on every side. It's agenda-based news. Shane McMahon getting major heat about making the Royal Rumble about himself.
Okay, let me ask you something. I mean, obviously we can pull this apart.
Yeah.
But how did Shane, what are they saying that Shane did that was specifically oh my God, can you believe Shane McMahon? Oh, please.
He had more of an impact in the Rumble than Big E or Kevin Owens.
Isn't that conjecture?
Look, Shane McMahon is coming back for WrestleMania, possibly Elimination Chamber. I think I talked about it actually on Thursday. We were talking about this in detail. And, everybody immediately thought that Shane McMahon was going to be in the Elimination Chamber match. That's what some people reported yesterday. People were saying he's going to show up on Raw. I'll tell you the truth. You know who I think Shane McMahon may end up facing if they don't do the Austin Theory thing that we talked about yesterday? I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like Shane McMahon versus Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You might see something like that. We don't know. But Shane McMahon did not make the Rumble about himself yesterday. If that was the case, we would have seen something tonight on Raw. Something would have been a buzz. It's nonsense. It's all agenda-based. Hate McMahon, hate creative. I don't mind a little Shane McMahon. Let's see.
Shane's fine. Shane is absolutely fine. I don't know why people are so upset by him coming back. I know, once again, like you said, it was agenda-based, and that's whatever. Look, creative makes a lot of mistakes. I was not happy with the men's Royal Rumble. But to sit there and say that I blame just Shane, come on.
Yeah.
That's some
crazy.
weird shit. Yeah,
Crazy.
that's clearly some way of trying to slight the McMahons. Look, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. That's how it works out. But actually, did you hear about Kurt Angle talking on his podcast that he might be back around WrestleMania time?
Yeah.
I'm kind of freaked out about that, dude, because he left the company in total silence. Like, it was Baron Corbin that kind of retired him. And it felt really awkward because nobody gave him any fanfare. Like, there wasn't a Kurt Angle appreciation night.
Dude.
So I don't know what he's doing coming back, but I'm just happy he is.
There's only one match I want to see if Kurt Angle hits the ring again. Kurt Angle versus Chad Gable.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Connect all the dots. Have Jason Jordan a part of it too. I mean, obviously Jason Jordan can't wrestle, but as we've seen, he's still a part of the company. You can have him out there for a little couple of gimmicks. But you want to help get Chad over?
Yes. Oh my God.
Kurt.
You and I have been singing the praise. And look, a lot of people are tuning in also. We've been singing the praise for Chad Gable for a long, long time.
Yes.
And, I want to expand on something that I said last week. When you think about Kurt Angle, when he got his head shaved, and to me, that's where he turned the corner. Once he had the wig and his charisma and with the heel turn, just totally, he blew it open with that. Kurt Angle at that time, I think, was 33 or 34 years old. I don't remember exactly how old, but it's either 33 or 34. Chad Gable is 35. So they're not that far off in the age department. Chad Gable, I'm telling you, if WWE just lets him do what he's doing, that son of a bitch's stock is rising quicker than Impact Wrestling's ratings. So you give me Kurt Angle versus Chad Gable, oh man, that would be freaking awesome.
That would be great. It would be absolutely great. I mean, you can even, I don't mean to make it an all-American fight here, but if you can find a way to insert Jason Jordan and you can find a way to insert Shelton Benjamin, I think you could do something really fun with throwback and current day at the same time.
See, I could see Jason Jordan coming back as a cameo to try to make peace between Chad and Kurt. The problem is, I think, and I know this is going to be sad to say, I think a lot of current WWE fans have totally forgotten about Jason Jordan.
It doesn't matter, though.
I know, dude, but he'll probably get next to those
amazing promo packages that they did with Brock and
Bobby Lashley, but
Kurt Angle and Chad. Dude, I think people would be on board. Look, a lot of people had things to say about Royal Rumble on Saturday, but the one thing that they didn't get any shit on is the fact that their vignette packages, their promo packages are amazing. And they need to start doing those more. And if you're going to start bringing back wrestlers from yesterday and you're worried about the current group of fans today not knowing all of what Kurt Angle did or maybe not even knowing the connections between Chad Gable and Jason Jordan and Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas and Kurt Angle, like not knowing the connections, that's why WWE is superior in that sense. They need to come out with more of those packages and refresh everybody. Dude, I really got to say, the production team in WWE, maybe the on-air stuff, we could talk about that. They've made some mistakes. But the developed packages that they do, man, they are crisp. They are absolutely just crisp.
Chris in the chat, I don't know how far Gable Stevenson is advanced in his training, but hell, I could see if he was able to do something in Mania, I could see Gable versus Gable and have Kurt Angle in the corner of Gable Stevenson, have Otis in the corner of Chad Gable, and then maybe we get a little interaction with Kurt Angle with Otis. That's a possibility too. Gable versus Gable. I could see that. My honest opinion is I think it might be a little bit too soon for Gable Stevenson.
Yeah.
I think that would be pretty damn good though. Here's another match idea that I thought about. We talked about it, I think on Thursday, but we talked about it last week. And after I watched Raw tonight and we'll get into Raw now. And, look, we always go out of place. We segue into conversations, but I want to just open up about tonight with Raw. After watching Raw tonight, another WrestleMania match idea, because look, a couple of weeks ago I said Ronda versus Charlotte. Big E versus Bobby Lashley, I'm a little concerned about. I don't know if that's going to still happen, but I also said Ronda versus Charlotte, Bianca versus Becky, Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens.
Right.
And I think Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens is a very, very big possibility at WrestleMania, because Kevin Owens tonight, a little bit jealous, a little bit annoyed that Seth Rollins got a spot in the Elimination Chamber, and Kevin Owens had to wrestle for it. Now, most of you know Kevin Owens doesn't go to Saudi Arabia. So if people haven't realized this, if you go back the last bunch of years, right before a Saudi Arabia event, you will always find Kevin Owens losing to somebody. And more times than not, it's somebody who could use a nice little victory. Tonight, Kevin Owens did that for Austin Theory. Okay, you don't want to go to Saudi Arabia. Austin Theory in the Elimination Chamber match. Before we get into Brock and Bobby and what went down tonight with the Elimination Chamber announcement, just quickly, what do you think about Austin Theory in the Elimination Chamber? Is this someone that has a shot, or is this someone that is going to get the shit knocked out of him so bad that I think fans are just going to get behind him even more?
Man, I don't know if that's the key. I don't think that's the key. I think Austin Theory is a guy that needs more time to simmer. Although Elimination Chamber, considering we aren't talking, it's not really the sanctioned event. It doesn't really have too many recourses as far as going to WrestleMania, although in this case it may. I don't know if I'd put him in that position. I don't know if I would give him that level of responsibility yet.
Yeah.
That's just my thought. Well, I do think fans like him. I do think that the Vince vignettes need to go. But I think that there's absolutely, this kid's got a lot of talent. It's just, I don't know if he has the pull yet to lead a main event.
Well, he had a banger of a match with Kevin Owens tonight.
Yeah, that was great. Absolutely.
The guy, he has it. I'm telling you, he has it. I've been singing the utmost praise for Austin Theory back in NXT before he was even with Gargano. It just something just clicks about him. There are some wrestlers, look, we were talking about Roderick Strong. Now, Roderick Strong's on the tail end of his career. But, Roderick Strong, I think he's all but done in WWE. A lot of people feel Roderick Strong probably would be better suited in AEW or NWA or something like that. There are some wrestlers that you look at and you're like, man, that is someone who is designed for blah promotion, whatever promotion, because of their wrestling ability and how great they are in a match. Then there's some people who are just not only good in the ring, but are entertainers. You know what I mean? And Austin Theory fits, the WWE mold. I'm not saying that WWE's fawning over him like they did with Orton and Cena, 20-something years ago. I still to this day remember that conference call with Linda McMahon back in like a year or two before they debuted on the main roster. And I have the audio somewhere. And she was on that conference call and she's like, we have two people in our developmental system that we truly feel is the future of WWE. Their names are John Cena and Randy Orton. And, look what happened with them. I'm not saying Austin Theory will ever be on that level, but he's on his way, man.
Yeah, but it's WWE's turn to start looking for those people. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
NXT 2.0, a lot of people are upset at the current crop of wrestlers. NXT original is gone. So when you're starting to look for main event talent or the next blue chippers to take over the company in a few years, now is the time. Now is literally what WWE has to do.
What do you think about that match idea of Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. They have a long enough history going back and forth, and I'm not expecting Seth to do anything else against Roman Reigns soon. I think there needs to be some kind of retribution, but you can settle the score by fucking with him outside of the ring. You can settle it with matches that don't really pertain to WrestleMania. So Seth versus KO, it's been a long time coming. These guys have been frenemies for the longest time now. And personally, I'd like to see Kevin Owens take out Seth. But Seth, now that he's wearing his wife's clothing, it was nice to see him wearing Becky's glasses and her flats. I thought he looked adorable out there tonight. So kudos to Seth Rollins. But yeah, no, Seth and KO at Mania is not a bad matchup.
Yeah, I still think of Tom Nelson and a bunch of others a couple of weeks ago. DT, are you nuts? Seth Rollins is not turning babyface. And I'm saying, now do you see what I saw? Did you see what I saw? I love it. I love it. I think Kevin Owens tonight, little seeds were planted. Seth laughing, giving props to Cincinnati, who is now going to the Super Bowl. I mean, Seth,
Sure.
and when Seth was laughing tonight, having fun, Kevin Owens, if you look at Kevin Owens' face, he's like, what's wrong with you? So Kevin Owens is going to turn on Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is going to be a monster baby face going into WrestleMania. And it is beautiful. It is beautiful because it is such a far cry from John, when he was with J&J Security and the Authority and Corporate Kane. And oh my God. And look, at that time, remember Triple H helped Kevin Owens win the Universal Championship. Seth Rollins was on the opposite side. So it's kind of, Well, let's talk about a few other things. Before we do that, in the chat room right now is Elizabeth. It's the big one. It's her birthday. I see, I can't even sing it because you could get copyright strikes just for singing songs. Happy birthday, DX Girl 69.
Birthday, Liz. For people that remember Liz, she used to be one of the friends of the show. She still is, of course.
Yeah.
She used to do the Liz and Lisa show back in the day on Wrestling Soup, which was a lot of laughs and interesting moments. But
yeah,
I'm glad to have known her. Much love, Liz. Happy birthday.
Wow, that was so many years ago.
Yeah,
you know what that means?
You don't forget, though.
I know, but you know what that means? Even though, the gap doesn't, get closer, but you are now an old lady. You're old. Now I felt 15 years ago and everybody used to make fun of me. Shut up, old man. How does it feel? I'm kidding.
She's only old to one person in the chat.
Look, she's 20 years old with 20 years experience. She's not 40. I'm just messing around. Happy birthday.
Good Lord.
Happy birthday. Look,
Tony. Thanks.
Tony. Oh, by the way, I got to show this. Obviously I'm shilling the Don Tony, 25 years of Don Tony merchandise. I made a jersey for sale and, Teespring was nice enough to send me one for free. I got this thing in the mail and I got to just show you how nuts this looks. And I'm going to probably give away a couple next week, but this is the jersey version of look how big this is. That is the back of it. I mean, it literally is like, if anybody remembers like the Chicago White Sox from like the early 70s and used to have these giant numbers on the back of their jersey, this is this is an XL. I mean, maybe it's just, look at how big this is.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, if I put this on,
is it a pajama shirt?
It's a jersey. Shirt? It's a jersey. Wow. Look at this. It's like a night shirt. Maybe that's why they gave it for free. If I wore this thing, seriously, see how big.
So that's a new jersey?
That's a jersey. It's like a baseball jersey. Maybe it's supposed to be like a football jersey. I don't know. But it's in the store. Buy the shirt. Buy the jersey. All right. Let's talk about Elimination Chamber. All right. This Raw opens up tonight with Bobby Lashley.
Yes, it does.
Bobby Lashley looking dapper as always. And I'll tell you, Mish, I got Karrion Kross vibes tonight. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you
Okay.
why. When Karrion Kross got back the NXT Championship, I brought this up many times before. When he showed up on NXT the night after, the week after he won the title, you heard the crowd chanting, "Fall and pray, fall and pray." And what did Karrion Kross do? I don't have any portable microphones as props. Just pretend this is a microphone. If the fans are behind me chanting, "Fall and pray," he took the microphone and went like this.
Right.
And that's a sign of respect for the fans. I hear you. Everybody hears you. And he's playing off as kind of a baby face. The following week, WWE pipes in these loud boos. The week after, he's like in the middle. The week after that, they force, and it's like, remember all those weeks we kept saying, is he a heel? Is he a babyface? What are we supposed to do? Bobby Lashley, for the last 2 weeks, has been slapping hands with fans. He slapped hands with fans yesterday.
Yeah.
That confused the shit out of me. He accepted Roman Reigns' help. But he's slapping hands. So tonight, he opens up the show and, he's cutting a promo and, he's saying a couple of things about winning the championship and this and that. And next thing you know, Brock Lesnar comes out. Brock Lesnar's dressed to wrestle. No shirt, trunks, just ready to wrestle. And Brock Lesnar hits the ring and Brock Lesnar is like, "Where's your pride? You didn't beat me Saturday night. You won because of Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman." Brock doing a little bit of rock, talking in the third person. Brock is talking. Brock Lesnar is going to WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar won the Royal Rumble. This is not a knee slapper. Bobby who? Bobby, I'm going to take on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, but it's going to be title versus title because I want my rematch for that title. And obviously MVP, and I still think we may see a split between those two. MVP trying to, Bobby, think with your head. No shot tonight. Brock Lesnar calls him a chicken shit. Bobby Lashley's getting pissed off. And ultimately, they get out of the ring to loud chorus of boos. And I'm saying to myself, wait a minute. For the last 2 weeks, and more than that, with the attack from Rollins, with the attack from Owens, him teaming up with Big E, they've been trying to push Bobby Lashley as a babyface. Tonight, it was the total opposite.
Let me throw in a little asterisk on this. And this is something that WWE has done in the past. You realize we're going into February, right?
Yeah.
You understand what that means, right? Black History Month. WWE does not want heels, or at least they don't want heels on the level of being unapproachable during that month. And I'm not saying that this is clearly the only case for this change of heart that Bobby Lashley and MVP have had, but I would not put it past WWE because they want a lot of positive vibes. They want to focus on their champions. They want to focus on their talent in February. This is, to me, the first thing that I saw when he was slapping hands yesterday. It's the first thing I thought of when he was holding that championship title. I'm like, we're going into February. And I'm not saying that Bobby Lashley doesn't deserve it. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm just saying that this might be part of marketing as well for him to at least, he can still be a heel DT, but maybe he's not so unapproachable that he's going to ignore the people that are genuinely cheering for him.
Well, Adam Pearce comes out, announces that Bobby Lashley will be defending the WWE Championship inside Elimination Chamber. And, Bobby's pissed off at that, obviously, but Adam Pearce, we knew we were getting some qualifying matches tonight for the Chamber. Adam Pearce announces that Brock Lesnar will get a spot in the Elimination Chamber. I understand some people that feel, every person should have a qualifying match. But no, when you're Brock Lesnar and you're a main eventer and you're a champion, you get a spot in the Chamber. You don't have to. And by the way, even if he did have a match, who are you going to put him up against? Seriously, you're going to put him up against Kevin Owens and have Brock squash him in 10 seconds? What do you want? You want this to be an AEW match where we go to 2 commercial breaks and Brock Lesnar can't put away R-Truth? Or you look at the people who would not qualify in that match. Who do you put up against Brock Lesnar so he could qualify? Tell me. Damian Priest, and make Damian Priest look worse. So putting Brock in without having a match makes total sense. Seth Rollins getting put in that match. This is why people got to stop bitching, spur in the moment bitching about every little thing. It is seeds planted. Kevin Owens storyline. Why do you get a spot in the chamber? I have to have a match for it. That is basically planting the seeds. More reasons for Kevin Owens to get angry at Seth Rollins. It's not lazy booking. Seth Rollins. Smart. Yeah, it's smart. It's smart. And so we now know the participants in the chamber match based on some qualifying matches today. And I will get into the names right now, and then we'll get into how some of the matches went down. The members of the Elimination Chamber match is going to be Bobby Lashley. Obviously, he's defending the WWE Championship. Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins are in the chamber. Riddle is in the chamber. AJ Styles is in the chamber. Austin Theory is in the chamber. What's your thoughts on those participants?
Dude, it's going to be a solid. It's honestly, it's the people that should have been running around the Rumble match on Saturday. These are the finalists that should have been in the Rumble match, in my opinion. I would love, and I'm really a strong Riddle fan. I don't think it's going to happen, but man, oh man, I would be a little mark boy. I'd be a little mark boy if Matt Riddle actually won that thing. Yeah. I like the kid. I think there's a lot of potential storyline with him. I think it's a nice way to remove him from Randy Orton without having the tag team break up by, whatever heel means that somebody gets chucked through a barbershop window. I'm into the idea of it. AJ Styles, solid pick, but I don't know if I can look at AJ Styles and think that he's ready for another.
Yeah,
another
we've been talking about talking about AJ Styles versus Edge. I mean,
right.
Dude, if Bobby Lashley loses that belt so quickly, the bullshit that's going to be on social media. And I know WWE ignores it. WWE does their business, just because there's some loud noise on social media.
Right.
But I also feel, look, you and I have been saying for weeks, Bobby Lashley had to win that match against Brock Lesnar to cement his legacy. That win over Brock is very, very important for Bobby Lashley's Hall of Fame resume. To have him lose.
I was more impressed that they pulled the trigger on it.
Yeah.
Honestly, when we talked about it, my pick was the opposite. I thought Brock was going to retain.
Yeah.
I thought Brock was going to retain because I didn't think that WWE was going to pull the title off of Brock. But I was wrong.
Well, I wasn't. I'm kidding. I was wrong on a lot yesterday. Let's be honest. I thought Big E was going to get it. I thought Bianca Belair to make history, the first woman to win 2 Rumbles back-to-back. Look, Mike from New York and others that were asking earlier, just go and search the channel. I made it as one of the titles of, I think it was last week's episode. WWE and Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is not thrilled about having women inside Elimination Chamber. If they do allow it, it's going to be extremely watered down. Now, tonight, they announced Becky Lynch taking on Lita at Elimination Chamber. Obviously, Hall of Famer, Saudi Arabia, they love the nostalgia part. Lita, we talked about it last Saturday night for the Rumble recap. A lot of people thought that Lita could possibly win the Rumble. She didn't. And what we talked about on Saturday night, we even talked about it yesterday on the sit-down, is, let's see what happens with Lita within the next couple of months. She may not get the WrestleMania run, but if she truly has enough in the tank, let's see if she gets that one last run. If she doesn't get that last run, I don't blame her for going right to AEW and doing something with Britt Baker. But tonight, after the Ronda Rousey stuff with Becky, which we'll talk about in a moment, Becky's in the ring, and I'm looking at the clock, and I'm like, okay, that's odd. Ronda Rousey walks off, and it's 10:56.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we still got 4 minutes left. I mean, is Ronda going to turn back around and they're going to brawl? And next thing you know, Lita's music. I guess we could talk about Ronda now and then Lita. Ronda Rousey returns back for the first time on Raw in almost 3 years. Look, Ronda Rousey has not cut a promo in 3 years. So she was very dry today, very matter of fact, almost came off like old, huh?
She had her boo-boo face back.
Yes.
So, like, Ronda Rousey evolved in her promos. Like, if you go back and you watch her early stuff, even going up against Triple H and Steph, she had this boo-boo face on at all times. And eventually it went away.
Yes.
And she became more comfortable, and she had better promos, and she was enjoyable. She's got to walk through that fire again, I think. She has to get rid of the boo-boo face.
See, Ronda Rousey's a fighter. She's not an actress, and she started to get the groove and become a sports entertainer, and then she left. That will come back, like Mish said. In time, that will come back. Tonight, she came off more like old Brock Lesnar. Yeah. Like, I don't even want to be here. Like everyone else is beneath me. And she's calling Becky Rebecca, because I guess we're supposed to be like, like that meme, that GIF.
It's like when your teacher calls you by your last name, you're in shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If somebody starts calling you by your full Christian name, you're in trouble.
Yeah, when they say your first name, like you get yelled at in school, Mish. They don't just say Anthony, cut it out. They're like, Anthony Missionary Thomas.
Right, exactly. There's an ass whooping coming if somebody starts giving off your entire full name, but
Montel Vontamius Porter, whatever.
Right.
Sit down. Yeah, but my dad used to do that too. Anthony DeBlasi. So when you do the full name,
my mom would do that. My mother would do that. She'd do the full name, and then I knew there was either a spoon or a belt coming.
My mom, I think maybe once or twice in my entire life, also mentioned my confirmation name, which I had taken as my middle name for a little while. I guess a lot of people don't know. My confirmation name, which I had as a middle name for a long time, is Santino. So it's my uncle is Santo. It was Santino. So once or twice in my lifetime when I was a kid, my mother would be like, Anthony Santino DeBlasi, what are you doing there? That's when I knew I was fucked. I was in trouble. My mom, I don't think ever laid a hand on me my entire life. My mom was like Goodfellas. My father would whip me with the belt and my mom would try to stop it. She tried to she basically would do the opposite of the Macho Man with Miss Elizabeth. Macho would put Miss Elizabeth in front of her. Basically, it would be Miss Elizabeth putting herself in front of Macho, So anyway, Google it, Benjamin. You don't know what a confirmation name is? Google it. Too much to explain. This is not CCD class. Way too much to explain now. But so Ronda comes out. Becky, because look, this is big time Bex.
Yeah.
This is a little bit different than the man. Big time Bex comes out and she's jaw-jacking with Ronda. And I guess because Ronda's got to get back in the groove, the only thing they can really do, Ronda takes her down and she teases that she's going to do something to Becky. And she's like, I will give you my answer on Friday night. She throws the microphone into Becky's chest and she walks off. And, Ronda, as she's walking down the rampway, Becky gets back on the mic. Oh, I thought we were pals. I thought we were catching up. Blah, 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 blah. And then that's when Lita's music hits. And Lita comes out and she's giving props to Becky. And because she's complimented Becky, oh, you've always been my favorite. You're a legend. You've always been my favorite. So Lita throws out the challenge. If anybody saw my synopsis earlier today, it was on the preview. Hey, here's a match idea at Elimination Chamber. Give us Lita.
Let me ask you something. especially when it came to Lita tonight. Did you think it was funny that they threw away Becky's heel gimmick persona? Because, I mean, it wasn't that long ago, matter of fact, Saturday, when she was the heel with Doudrop, who was also a heel. And the fans didn't want to boo Becky. And tonight, you had another situation where Ronda came in with the huge ovation and was playing up the heel persona. And Becky is now all of a sudden in the babyface role. And when Lita came out there, Becky could have been a heel. What do you want, you old woman? You know, and she didn't do that.
Well, she'll probably do that now.
She was gracious to Lita. And then Lita said, you know, you're my favorite, but I got something to ask you. And it was at that moment that, like, okay, what is it? Like, here it comes. I know what you want. You know? And she's like, Elimination Chamber. And so I was kind of surprised that they kept Becky in the face, the good guy kind of feel, when it really should have been the other way, shouldn't it? Shouldn't Ronda have come out there like the re-emerging super baby face that we all missed, and Lita comes out as the re-emerging super baby face we all missed, and Becky is just this curmudgeon, this person that's her own ass?
Well, I don't think, because look, Ronda's gonna be taking on Charlotte, so Lita is like the diversion away from Ronda Rousey, because SmackDown, Charlotte's going to come out and cut a very nasty promo on Ronda Rousey, and that's going to end up with a giant pull apart, and there's your WrestleMania match.
But then is Ronda going to be a baby face on SmackDown then? Because Charlotte's clearly a heel.
Yeah, well, she's
you know what I'm saying? Like the confusion that's going on here. And not only that, let me throw in another 2 cents just to add to this, because I'm kind of interested in what's going on here. Shayna and Ronda had their little moment at Royal Rumble, right? They had their little buddy, like, I fucking missed you. Like, you're my girl. Let's go kill these people. And now you've got her next to Shayna again. Is there a possibility of, I don't know, some help with Charlotte?
Maybe Charlotte has a match with Shayna, does a little bit more, and maybe Ronda's got to make a save. I think Ronda's going to be, and I responded to somebody's comment on YouTube earlier today, and I said, I think Ronda is going to be the badass babyface, where she's going to be a babyface, but not your typical babyface. She's just going to be a badass, but she's going to beat the crap out of Charlotte. So she's not going to, kiss babies and smile all the time, but basically just by default, people want to see Ronda beat the living crap out of Charlotte. If anyone out there forgets, that, what was it, SummerSlam? Was it SummerSlam? Her match with Charlotte with all those Singapore King shots?
Survivor Series.
Survivor Series. Yeah. People need to revisit that match. And then you realize why Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte is the match that should happen.
Absolutely.
You look at that, and then you look at the botch pin at WrestleMania. Which one would you want revenge on?
Survivor Series. Hands out. Matter of fact, if they're going to eventually pull this into WrestleMania, DT, I hope they up the ante a little bit. I wouldn't mind just a Singapore King match. Bring out everything. Bring out garbage cans. Bring out a cage. I mean, put them in the full regalia, Yeah.
It's going to be good. I mean, again, how anybody could criticize any of this stuff, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. I'm enjoying it. We'll see where it goes from here. So let's also get this out of the way. Brock Lesnar, we brought this up a little bit earlier. Brock Lesnar, when he cut his promo with Bobby Lashley, he said that he's going to take on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, but it's going to be title versus title, because Brock plans on winning Elimination Chamber and then being the WWE champion, was going to go on to WrestleMania and still take on Roman Reigns. Now, I will tell you this. That is a fabulous, fabulous thought. I don't believe it'll happen. I think Brock Lesnar in that Elimination Chamber is that suspension of disbelief, like, holy shit, Brock could possibly win this. And oh my God, he could win at WrestleMania and be a double champion. I just don't know if Brock Lesnar week after week after week is going to show up on Raw and SmackDown and set up storylines to defend both belts. But that asterisk is there that Brock Lesnar could possibly be the WWE champion. I don't buy it because WrestleMania is 2 nights, and I said this yesterday. I think night 1 is going to be Bobby Lashley defending the WWE Championship against somebody. Maybe it's still Big E. I don't know. But he's going to defend it against somebody. And then Ronda Rousey is going to take on Charlotte Flair. Because look, nothing against Bobby Lashley. But if you look at Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair, I don't know what opponent you could put up against Bobby Lashley that it would feel bigger than Ronda versus Charlotte. So I think Ronda versus Charlotte could close out night 1. A woman's match is going to close out one of those nights.
It really does depend on the buildup, though. They need to build it up right in order to make it feel, once again, bring back the WWE promo packages.
Yeah.
Bring it back. Show people Survivor Series. They need to refresh all these fans because Ronda Rousey's been gone long enough.
Yeah.
Long enough.
Night 2 is going to be Brock versus Roman, Bianca versus Becky. And Brock versus Roman will close out night 2. That's how we might see Brock versus Roman night 1. I mean, you could take your pick. I personally think we'll see Brock versus Roman close out night 2.
Let me throw this out here because one of the people in the chat, Scorpio, throws out an interesting idea. With Bobby, what if it was a big match with Omos?
Interesting if WWE feels that Omos is ready for a high-profile match like that. It's intriguing. It's not a bad idea. I'm not knocking it. We are big fans of Omos, and I tell you, Omos put on a decent performance yesterday. I mean, that chop to Ricochet, I felt it at home. He is a badass mofo with beautiful eyes. With beautiful eyes with Riddle tonight. Omos, I never realized how beautiful your eyes are. Omos like, huh? What are you talking about? All right, we're going to start bringing this home because we're already at 53 minutes. I know we were getting into a bunch of topics, but let's fill in the blanks.
It's been fun.
Let's fill in the blanks from Raw tonight. So how we ended up with this lineup for Elimination Chamber, we had a scooter match with Riddle versus Chad Gable. And I know you and I said that would be the matchup, but we wanted Randy versus Otis just for the comedic purposes. But what they do tonight is they were supposed to go around the arena 50 laps and then finish at the finish line at ringside. Now, for a few people earlier that said, oh, they should have done this in front of the fans and not in the back. First of all, I don't think anybody realizes how big that arena is to go around even once. They didn't really ride around that arena 50 times. If you do it in front of fans, you got to do it 50 times. So these two guys have their 50 laps.
Yes.
R-Truth was the one with the flag to start the contest, and then he was at ringside to finish the contest. And they go down the rampway. Chad Gable trips and falls. Riddle is doing high fives with the fans, doing a bro thing as he's about to approach the finish line. And here comes Otis. Clothesline to Riddle. Riddle falls on his ass. And sure enough, Chad Gable gets the win. Now, we all knew Chad was going to win because remember, there were 3 challenges with this competition. Randy and Riddle won last week. Obviously, Otis and Chad had to win this week, so we get to the tiebreaker next week. So Chad wins. Riddle is upset. Riddle then issues a challenge to Otis. We get Riddle versus Otis, but Adam Pearce comes out and says this match is now a qualifying match for Elimination Chamber. And Riddle and Otis put on a banger of a match as well. Not as good as Austin Theory and Kevin Owens, but Riddle defeats Otis. I tell you, the one thing that made me laugh my ass off is if anybody that's ever watched like marathon races, whether you're running or on bikes, like they'll always have people like fans rooting for people, and they'll have cups of water or cups of Gatorade around like the as they're going by. And Riddle goes by and the Street Profits give him something. And Riddle's like, this doesn't taste like sports drink. So he drinks it. And then they don't want to give any to Chad. And Chad is like, I'm parched. Come on, I'm parched. So Otis gives him a solo cup, and it's got barbecue sauce in it. I never saw clear barbecue sauce that doesn't leave like residue on your lips. But Chad Gable, he's like, sodium. I mean, little things like that have me laughing my ass off. Yeah. But they have the match, and Riddle, extreme baby face right now. And he goes on to Elimination Chamber, and I think it's awesome. But later on, because Otis and Chad Gable won that competition, they choose next week's challenge, and it's going to be Quiz Bowl because we have the Super Bowl coming up. Congratulations to the Rams and the Bengals who are in the Super Bowl. I am not going to give my Super Bowl prediction yet, but I will say, interesting, good timing that WWE ends up in Cincinnati the day after the Bengals qualify for the Super Bowl. So we get this next week. So Lord knows what the hell's going to go down in the Quiz Bowl. So what'd you think of those segments tonight?
Oh, it was fun, dude. It was nice. It was campy. And it's the stuff that Matt Riddle's good at and Chad is good at, too. They're going to go back and do the Quiz Bowl, and that's fine. I have no problems with it. These guys play well off of each other with the comedic angles. It's too often that WWE forces people into the comedy angles, and they just fall flat, or they just end up really dumb. But Gable and Riddle, they're okay. They're funny together. You know, and absolutely. Otis being the super straight man works for what Otis is doing. Although I do miss him being, the Mandy chase. I do.
I love this Mandy. Otis now. Oh,
I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying happy Otis with Mandy was fucking great.
Constipated
and Randy
Otis
Orton can always play his role in there too, because Randy Orton's a professional. He knows to ride with the comedic stuff. So I think they found something between these four guys.
People are pushing me. All right. I'm rooting for the Cincinnati Rams. Okay. So
Cincinnati Rams.
All right. Tonight we also had the continuation with Alexa Bliss. And yeah, I'm telling you, I keep thinking in the back of my head what you said a couple of weeks ago. This is like a bad porn. Like you at this point, I mean, we're gonna keep this PG for tonight, but the psychologist has got a fake Lily that he bought on WWE Shop, and he gives it to Alexa Bliss, and Alexa Bliss treats it like it's really Lily. And she's got this beautiful smile on her face. And everyone, the pink streaks are back, the pigtails are back. She is happy. I wonder if Alexa Bliss is going to end up tearing the head off of this Lily.
No.
I don't know. I mean, WWE, if they could kill it with merchandise sales, you can bring Lily back, but right now Lily is accepting the fake Lily. Alexa Bliss is accepting the fake Lily. And the only thing I can think of is next week, this next segment is going to be a psychologist saying, you see, this is a fake Lily, but you still love her. The show that, it's more about the loving, the concept, not the person, than the inanimate object. And I don't know if it's going to go.
Dude, this is long. This is drawn out.
Yes.
This is too many segments. Alexa Bliss doesn't need all of this. But then I think, you know what? At least it keeps her away from the ring. So I don't know, dude. I don't know what they're doing with this. Are people loving this gimmick? Are people loving these vignettes, these little doctors meetings? Because I don't know, dude. I don't really see people talking about it. So I mean, I guess no news is good news, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah. Now we did get some really good news tonight. We have some really sad news tonight. I know this is not shown up on the news wire yet, and I know I should have opened up with this, but I didn't want to open up on a real down note. But for all of you out there, you might want to send your thoughts and your prayers, your condolences for Shotzi Blackheart. Her dad died yesterday, complications of COVID. Her dad had some issues, comorbidities, I guess would be the right way to put it. And he got COVID, and the complications with the comorbidities, got him. And it's sad, look, we just finished talking about this on Saturday, but here in New York, just think about this. And you and I called this. I mean, a lot of you called this because we have been really watching this closely. Omicron cases in New York are down 95% from a month ago. A month ago, we had 90,000 cases. This weekend, we have 5,000. So, but the problem is, if you're on good health, you have a 0.01 chance of dying from COVID. That's 0.1%. But if you have a secondary health issue, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart condition, anything like that, look, we've heard people, they get pneumonia, and because they have a secondary condition, it does them in. We see people, get the flu. So COVID is nothing to mess around with, but you might want to send condolences to Shotzi Blackheart. She's obviously, her and her family are grieving big time right now. So I just wanted to mention it. All right. So let's get back. If we could change the mood, some very good news tonight. I don't know if you saw this, but this got a big pop in this household that coming soon, Veer Mahan. Dude, see, now I messed this up because I had a little joke planned for tonight, and I was going to say, how many Omicron's going to come and go before Veer Mahan arrives on Raw? I mean, we'll probably have like 9 variants before. I fucked up the timing because bad timing. But Veer Mahan coming to Raw. You might end up being spot on if this guy debuts in Saudi Arabia.
Has he, have we seen this news before? Like, this is the first time they're showing the Veer Mahan coming to Raw, right?
Well, he was on main event tonight. So he was on main event.
Who was he wrestling?
He beat Akira Tozawa.
Oh. Okay.
You know what pisses me off about this Veer Mahan thing? One thing is pissing me off. Not even, coming in. Because look, you and I.
The fact that it's been 17 weeks.
Dude, I know people get mad.
We're waiting for Elias first.
I know people get mad when I take credit for shit. But you all got to give us a little bit of credit here. We said Veer was going to be the reincarnation of Emma 2 months ago. Oh, yeah. I don't know if if you search the channel, just type in Emma. 2 months ago, Mish and I were joking, this is going to enter Emma territory. He's blown it away. But the one thing that truly pisses me off about this is he has been on main event at least 6 times since this whole thing started. Yet not one person who is in the building and sees him live on main event, they'll take a picture of the Titantron. Veer is here. Nobody records a little video. Nobody even reports what's the crowd reaction. I mean, if I'm in the building in Cincinnati tonight and Veer is wrestling on main event and I'm there, I don't just take a picture. I snap a little video. I tell everybody, got a big pop, got no reaction. Every single week, people who are live, they're taking pictures of the Titantron or him, a picture of him in the ring. Nobody is answering, what kind of reaction is he getting now? No
Do you
one.
really honestly think that he's getting much of a reaction at all? Don't you think that people would have recorded it if everybody got up on their feet and went, "Holy shit, it's Veer"? Like,
Yeah,
if those were the kind of reactions that he was getting on main event, I think somebody would have recorded that.
yeah, I'm with you,
sadly
Dwayne.
think that he's probably not getting much.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dwayne Elf. I think this guy's getting almost no reaction. The fact that people aren't going out of their way, to breaking news, exclusive, look, Veer Mahan, and shooting a little video. People, I mean, even if they just think about that. Oh no, I got the data. I got a data plan. Yeah, but it's unlimited. Record a couple of seconds. I want to take in the match. Oh man, nobody records. I have no idea what kind of response he's getting right now. I'm glad he wasn't in the Royal Rumble, because if he would have gotten no reaction whatsoever after all of this, that's it. Stick a fork in him. He's done.
And that's what would have happened. That's exactly what would have happened.
Especially that's this Saturday's Royal Rumble. Can you imagine? Especially if he was one of the late entries. Actually, you know what? Because the Royal Rumble men's match was so boring. Because look, I don't know if you saw it. I wrote on social media Saturday night. I said the men's Royal Rumble will always be remembered for the last 5 entries. And that's really what ended up happening. But if Veer would have ended up being one of those last 5 entries, maybe because people were so freaking bored, they might have, just to have fun with themselves, they might have made the pop of the night for this guy. Yeah. You know what I mean? That sarcastic pop. Who knows? Well, we'll never know. But right. So getting back to the matches tonight, Miz over Dominic Mysterio. Miz doing a little vintage Eddie Guerrero, a little bit of lying, cheating, and stealing. Rey Mysterio is at ringside. Miz is taking on Dominic. With the referee not looking, Miz falls, acts like he was tripped by Rey. The referee didn't see anything. The referee ejects Rey Mysterio. Dominic, distracted because of Rey's ejection. Miz hits the skull-crushing finale and pins Dominic. Is this the beginning of the final setup to break up Dominic and Rey for WrestleMania? Is Dominic going to start getting angry and saying, listen, Dad, stay in the back? Or am I just thinking a little bit too hard here?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think Dominic's ready to stand on his own. Even if you start breaking him and his dad up, I think Dominic's best thing that he can do right now is hang on to Dad as long as he wants to work for the company. I don't think Dominic has enough fanfare on his own. I don't think he has enough charisma on his own. I don't think he's a strong enough wrestler on his own. I think that Dominic, while he does share the bloodline of Rey Mysterio, is nowhere near as talented and capable as Rey Mysterio. I'm sorry. Yeah. Look, I know WWE loves their second generations and their third generations. Boy, oh boy, does WWE love a lineage. But Dominic is just not strong enough. Dominic is in the same line as a David Flair. As soon as you detach Rick, as soon as you detach Rey, these guys floundered and eventually disappeared. And I think that that's what the future would be if Dominic goes off on his own.
Yeah, absolutely. As we said earlier, Seth Rollins is on the Kevin Owens show, announces he's in the chamber. Kevin Owens, very jealous, very pissed. Austin Theory comes out. And as we said earlier, he has a banger of a match with Kevin Owens. But Kevin Owens doesn't wrestle in Saudi Arabia out of respect for Sami Zayn and other reasons. So he puts over Austin Theory tonight in a banger of a match. Loved it. Yeah, this was a little filler. Couple of fillers tonight. Nikki Ash losing to Rhea Ripley. Very uneventful. What a fart of a storyline ending to this. I mean, it's just, look, I love Rhea Ripley, and I have become a fan of Nikki Ash. For the people that are still holding out hope that she's going to be reincarnated with the Sanity character, it ain't happening. Rhea gets the win, and I don't know where you go at this point with this. I mean, who does Rhea feud with next? I'm really confused. I mean, because look, we still don't know who is going to be the opponent for Becky Lynch for WrestleMania. There's going to be a high-profile match at Elimination Chamber. There is only 2 Raws left before the Chamber. So they really have to announce it next week. What are we going to get? Qualifying
Do you
matches
think they're going
next
to do
week?
an open challenge?
Your guess is as good as mine. But it feels like Bianca Belair. Maybe we get Bianca. You know what could happen next week? We may get 4 qualifying matches, and maybe we get 2 on Raw and 2 on SmackDown. And the winner of those qualifying matches have a fatal 4-way at Elimination Chamber, and the winner of that match goes on to choose, gets to face Becky Lynch. If Ronda Rousey on Friday announces she's going to face Charlotte, which seems like WWE may do, then whoever fights at Chamber, the stipulation will be the winner takes on Becky Lynch. And I have a feeling it may come down to Sasha Banks, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and somebody else on SmackDown.
Do you think somebody might make a return, like an Asuka?
Asuka, I don't know. I don't think she's ready to
Bayley?
return. Bayley is still.
Well, they said Bayley wasn't ready to return. I thought Asuka was ready, though.
I heard March. I heard March for Asuka, but hey, it could happen. Sasha Banks is back, but she's not 100%. So,
Right.
you know, milking the next 2 weeks, maybe she has like an easy match on SmackDown to qualify.
Well, then you could always go with somebody like a Carmella or a Queen Zelina. And we can roll our eyes at that. You know?
Yeah, no, it's possible. Speaking of Carmella, Bianca Belair beat her pretty handedly tonight with the KOD. You know, I'm just curious to see what match is going to take place at Elimination Chamber. I mean, there was no hint of a women's chamber match at all.
Yeah.
So, you know, something tells me fatal 4-way. That's the only thing I could come
That's
up
a safe bet. Yeah, it's a safe bet. I mean, they don't want to. WWE doesn't want to rock the boat too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if Elimination Chamber is a problem, they can just pretty much say, "Well, what about a 4-women's match?"
Yeah.
Simple as that. You know.
Final match that we had tonight, which was one of my fantasy matches over the years. You know, of course, you know, both wrestlers in the latter stages of their career, even though AJ Styles could really freaking go still. But I love the sign of respect. But AJ Styles beats Rey Mysterio, hits the Styles Clash. And, you know, I think a lot of people forgot that Ronda Rousey was going to close out Raw tonight.
Right.
You know, for some of us, and for me, for a few moments too, I was like, wow, they're going on a little early tonight. The match is starting at like 10:30. I'm like, there's no way AJ and Ray are going 30 minutes. They're like, oh, yes, Ronda Rousey's supposed to be on. But they had a nice little match. AJ Styles defeats Ray, goes on to the Chamber.
Yep.
I'm with you, man. I have become a fan of AJ Styles, and I did not like him for the most part in TNA. There was so many things about him in TNA. I'm not the early AJ Styles in NWA TNA was awesome. They started doing, you know, where he's wearing the Ric Flair robes and some of the others. I just, and then this with Dixie Carter.
Yeah, when he was in NWA TNA wearing the hoodies and the headbands and stuff, looking like he was still coming from WCW with Air Paris. That was the AJ Styles I think that a lot of us loved. But you're right. Once he started getting involved and having illegitimate children and all those other corny storylines.
That was awful. They tried to turn him into a sports entertainer.
Right. And AJ's performance was always about the ring, the X Cup, you know, high flying. That's what he was known for. That's what he was good at. He was the big act for a long time, the phenomenal AJ Styles. And now in WWE, this same kind of thing. I think he's eventually gotten much better with the sports entertainment stuff. I mean, you go back and you look at his his matches that he had with Samoa Joe on SmackDown. You look at his match with Undertaker with the director's cut version of AJ versus Undertaker at Mania.
Boneyard
and I
match.
think he's gotten a lot better over the years.
Yeah.
But still seeing him in his natural habitat, his natural environment, having a fucking fantastic match with Rey Mysterio. That's why people are wrestling fans. It was a great match. It's what you expect. I'd like to see them do this a couple more times.
Yeah,
So.
I hope so. By the way, we're going to wrap it up in about 15 minutes. I know we were going to try to go for a 60-minute show tonight, but we have some great convo and mingling with everybody in the chat room. We could go an extra half hour, so we're going to go 90 minutes tonight. I will say this, we talked about it Saturday and Sunday. When we were talking about, the opponent for Becky Lynch at Mania, Sam brought up, maybe something with Mickie James. I tell you, I'm not sure if we're going to see any more open door with WWE for the next 3-4 months. We may end up like, motherfucker, they only did that to fill a spot for the women's Royal Rumble, and that was it.
Well, no, I think I still stand that they did it to be nice to Mickie after the whole.
Right. It was closure.
Yeah.
It was closure. But since we're on the topic of AJ Styles, if we're going to get somebody from WWE to show up for an Impact Wrestling event, not pay-per-view, but why not send AJ Styles to Impact for one shot, one match?
It makes sense. Either AJ Styles or R-Truth.
I know, we said that. Send Reggie or R-Truth.
They have such a long history with TNA.
Oh, my God. See, yes. Ron Killings, NWA champion Ron Killings, was pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
But I would pop big time if Moose open challenge and he name drops all the companies like he did before, and then we get an announcement that somebody from WWE accepted the challenge. But we don't get Ron Killings. He comes in and he's doing the shit that he does now. Oh, man, I would laugh my ass off. Or you do a combo of both. Or Moose.
You need confused R-Truth. You need to where he's entering himself into a match and he shows up in TNA. He shows up in Impact instead, thinking he was going to be a part of a WWE match. Dude, I fucking love those shits. That was funny as hell he did those.
But once he gets in there with Moose, he wrestles like he was the NWA champion.
Oh, he can still go, dude.
Oh, sure he can. Yeah. Sure he can. But R-Truth is a quintessential example why not everybody needs to see a 5-star match to be entertained. If someone puts a smile on your face for whatever reason, that's what it matters at the end of the day. I don't base
Psycho. Before we get too much further with this, Psycho threw out one more name that's really important, and they're not doing much in WWE right now. Robert Roode.
Well, actually, I was about to say this.
Okay.
Angelo Dawkins beat Dolph Ziggler tonight. The one thing that caught my eye more than anything else was not that Dawkins beat Ziggler, even though the match was a little messy, but Robert Roode was not beside Dolph. Now, I'm not going to go controversy saying, oh my God, he's released. It could be Omicron. Maybe he was a little banged up from the Rumble. There could be 1,001 reasons. So yes, it was a little bit odd that Ziggler came out and had a match anyway, with Robert Roode not there. You would think they do have some people in the back. They could have had Angelo Dawkins face somebody else. Maybe just the roster was they could have even just dropped that match tonight. I mean, we had like an extra match or two if you really think about it. I'm not going to read too much into it, but I like your idea. Robert Roode showing up and I think Robert Roode showing up in Impact Wrestling would be more likely than AJ Styles.
Yeah.
That would be pretty awesome,
AJ
man.
is a big program. I mean, AJ is integral to a lot of the storylines, a lot of the matchups going on with Raw right now. So wanting AJ there, I totally get it. But how realistic is it?
Yeah.
But it's more realistic, like Psycho said, Bobby Bobby Roode or even R-Truth. Like, these are not unrealistic expectations for WWE to do.
Yeah. So that pretty much was your episode of Raw tonight. Main event results was Veer Mahan over Akira Tozawa, Liv Morgan over Doudrop. So the very rare we get a women's match on main event. And I was thinking about that tonight. I'm like, hey, we normally don't see women's matches on main event. I want to mention this because it still blows me away that almost nobody's talking about it. We have noted for the last couple of weeks, like, hey, give Impact Wrestling some credit. They're actually rebounding their ratings. The AEW effect backfired badly for them because and I've said this for a long time, what it showed was Impact Wrestling sent a message to their own roster that nobody on that roster was worthy enough, was strong enough to be heavyweight champion, so they needed Kenny Omega and Christian Cage to be their champion for pretty much a year. I mean, that damaged their roster. A lot of Impact Wrestling fans were very, very angry about this AEW influence because AEW never really reciprocated on Dynamite. You didn't see any Impact Wrestling shit go down on Dynamite. We saw Camille more than anything else on Dynamite. But we've noticed for a month now, ratings are starting to go up. Check this out, everybody. This is, and we're going to actually start something new tonight, once a month. First, let me show you the week. Rampage did 601, went up about 1%. SmackDown did 2,217,000, which went down 1.5%. Look at that Impact Wrestling rating, 182,000. Their ratings went up 44% from the week before. This is not Christmas. This is not New Year's. There was no technical glitches. Impact Wrestling's rating went up 44% in 1 week.
Good.
Over the last 6 weeks, this is not a fluke anymore. Over the last 6 weeks, their rating is up 130%.
Now, let me ask you,
Yeah.
Does this have to do with the correlation of Mickie James? Do we think that Mickie James plays a part in bridging that gap a little bit for fans of Mickie James that wanted to see her in Impact and what she's doing over there?
Sure,
and
some.
seeing if she's mentioning WWE or if there was any kind of that's what I'm saying. Do you think that there was a contingent of fans that knew that Mickie James was going to be in the Royal Rumble and went to go watch Impact in order to see if there was any other?
It's very possible. I think Mickie James, with the combination of the Ring of Honor storyline, even though it's Ring of Honor in name only, bringing in Tom Phillips, recognizable voice that we're used to hearing. It's just a lot of stars are aligning for Impact Wrestling right now. And look, let's be honest, everyone. 182,000 viewers is still a pathetic number compared to what Impact Wrestling used to draw in ratings. But
Sure.
I look at the last 6 weeks. The last 6 weeks, their ratings, 79,000, 82,000, 104,000, 111,000, 126,000, 182. Now, next week, I don't expect that 182 to increase. But you got to give them their due. For 6 straight weeks, they have increased their viewers for whatever reason, and they have got their numbers up to, honestly, when Tessa Blanchard was their champion. Because they were averaging close to 160 to 180 when Tessa was their champion. They broke 200 a few times.
Yeah.
So props to them. And it's a shame. With all of the focus on ratings and demos and all, people obsessed. I mean, Rampage goes up 1%. And everybody's like, oh my God, the highest ratings. It's 1%. The Impact Wrestling, it's nice to see growth. It's nice to see a rebound, and nobody celebrates it. I think that's terrible. Now, I want to do something new, and then we're going to pretty much wrap this up. I definitely want to bring up Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy before we go, and something about Wednesday. For once a month, what we're going to do is we're going to look back at the month in ratings for all the companies. It's honestly a segment that'll take 1 minute. But basically, so everybody, look, ratings go up, they go down. They go up, they go down. They go up 5%, Tony Khan, big press release. They go down 5%, everybody looks the other way. I think we should look at the month, each month, at the end of the month, to see where these companies were a month ago in the ratings and where they are now. That'll give you a good idea. How are these companies doing? So what I did, this month is a little bit special because we did have Christmas. We did have New Year's. It would be totally unfair to use those holiday weeks for Rampage and for SmackDown because there was preemptions and holidays and shifts. So what I did for those two companies is I went the week before Christmas because the 2 Christmas weeks you really can't count. So just to give you an idea of what these promotions, how they're doing in the ratings from a month ago. NXT a month ago closed out December with 662,000 viewers. This past week, they closed out the month of January with 593. So NXT has gone down 10.5% in the month. Raw, December 27th, which is not Christmas or New Year's, it's a Monday night. They were at 1,592,000 viewers. Last week, they closed with 1,766,000 for an 11% increase. Impact Wrestling, December 23rd, had 79,000 viewers. They just closed out January with 182, so they are up 130% in viewership. Dynamite closed out 2021 pre-holiday at 1,020,000 viewers. They closed out this month with 1,100,000 viewers. That is an increase of 7.8%. Rampage closed out December right before the holiday with 571,000 viewers. They closed January with 601, so that is a 5% increase. And SmackDown, pre-holiday, closed out December with 2,303,000 viewers. This past week, they scored 2,217,000. So SmackDown closes out January down 3.7%, which is interesting because they have more viewers going into day one than they did with the Royal Rumble. Go figure.
Wow.
Not much different, but enough that you're like, okay, wow, that's pretty strange, when you think about it. So, are you going to Dynamite on Wednesday?
I might be.
CM Punk versus MJF.
I know. I really do want to go. The problem is it's also the Mrs. birthday.
Oh, nice. Happy birthday.
Yeah. Wow.
That's awesome. Well, happy birthday to her.
For me, I'm not going to ditch her.
Yeah.
I'm sure not. I'm not going to take her to an AEW event for a birthday. Come on now.
I don't think she wants to smell armpits all night long. So, but happy birthday to her. Wednesday, we got Nyla Rose versus Ruby. Pac and Penta versus Malachi Black and Brody King, and CM Punk versus MJF. Those are the announced matches so far. We want to close out tonight's show with something that we had a very serious conversation about a couple of times. Yeah. This had to do with Jeff Hardy walking out on WWE. And I don't want to say it like that because that sounds really awfully negative, but I think people understand now why I was so angry at Mike Johnson. Words matter. And people who are journalists that hundreds of thousands of fans look up to, they got to be so careful with their words. And when Jeff Hardy, during that tag match, got out of the ring, jumped the guardrail, left throughout the crowd, Mike Johnson, who broke the story, said that Jeff appeared to be, in his exact words, in rough shape.
Yeah.
Now, when you think of those words, you immediately think drugs and alcohol. And you and I got on a very serious conversation that it's pretty fucked up to use those words when people know what you're going to immediately think. What does in rough shape mean? He's got face paint on. Was there any close-up on his eyes that they were bloodshot or diluted or anything? Was he stumbling around like he was drunk? No. There was nothing in that match that appeared that there was anything wrong with Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
What we said all along is that we thought, you and I, and a lot of people tuning in also thought, Jeff Hardy just might be burned out. And Jeff Hardy might have walked out into the crowd, into anonymity, just amongst the fans instead of walking through the back. That he just decided, I'm done. I'm not saying it's right, but we never ever thought truly that it was a drug or an alcohol issue. If anybody goes back, just type in Jeff Hardy in the channel in the search box and you go back, the timestamps are there and you click on it. All we talked about was, it might be a case of Jeff Hardy just being burnt out, was just done with WWE and wanted to just leave through the fans instead of through the back. Matt Hardy went on his Twitch stream over the weekend, and these quotes are courtesy of WrestlingInc.com, and Matt Hardy made these comments. Quote, I feel like Jeff was kind of stressed out in many different ways by several different things. And he just told me when he went over the guardrail, he knew he was done. He was done there. He was literally done with the match. He felt done. I don't think he did it intentionally to try to get fired, if that's what everybody's asking. I just think he did it because he does shit like that all the time. There are times we'd be in the ring wrestling or working, and he just goes into business for himself because that's just something he feels. That's how he is. He's a very emotionally supercharged person and follows his emotions and his instincts. And if something feels a certain way, regardless if it's the best case scenario for the outline of the match or a scenario he's working in, he just does it. He just does things. And I think that's one of the reasons why he's so beloved as he is, because he's a very emotional, passionate, and driven guy. And Matt goes on to say this. Jeff got a call, which had been reported online from John Laurinaitis, that they offered to induct him in the WWE Hall of Fame. They said they wanted to do this. I know people have seen this online, and it's not made up. That's a real thing that happened. And all Jeff asked for was his drug test result at the very end of the conversation. He said, no, I want the drug test. I want the clean result, kind of to clear his name, as he should, especially given his history. So after my brother's wife dealt with WWE and the drug testing company quite a bit, they actually spoke with a lawyer and had them help out. And just a couple of days ago, Jeff got his drug test back. It was negative. Nothing in his system.
Right.
Completely clean.
Let me add something to that, because while you were reading off Matt Hardy's statement about his brother and talking about the John Laurinaitis call with the Hall of Fame, there were people saying that Jeff being Jeff is unreliable, Jeff is this, Jeff is that. There was an interview done with Jeff Hardy talking about how reliable Jeff Hardy is. And what I mean by this is, when he's in WWE, he doesn't have to go through booking meetings. He doesn't have to get told what to do. He doesn't have to deal with Vince. He even talked about, he's like, I barely see Vince. Vince never needs me. Everything I do is exactly what they want me to do. So while Jeff, when he had problems, was a problem, when Jeff is clean, when Jeff is happy, when Jeff is doing his job, nobody bothers this guy. Like, this is in his own interview. This is his own admission. Nobody bothers him. They just let him do what he wants. walking out on the company was that unprofessional? Sure, that's arguable. But for a guy who is supposedly just so unreliable, you wouldn't think that a guy like Vince McMahon would just let him do whatever the hell he wants. You know?
And just imagine, and I know you and I talked about this well over a month ago. Just imagine being that burned out, and the first thing your employer thinks is that you fell off the wagon.
No, not even your employer. Some wrestling nerd.
Yeah, journalist too. Yeah.
Some guy who's such a prude DT closes his eyes when he takes a piss. You know what I mean? Like, what,
it was so disrespectful.
Right. Like, dude, just relax. Like, not everything is the worst case scenario. And the problem is a lot of the dirt sheets want the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
They want the absolute worst to happen because then it makes their rag look good.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
who wants Jeff Hardy to suffer? Like, what kind of fucking asshole wants Jeff Hardy to be hurting right now? You know what I mean? Like, that's the mentality of these people. They want Jeff Hardy hurt. They want Jeff Hardy in bad graces. The fact that his piss test came clean, it must enrage them.
Yeah. Look, we're not condoning somebody just walking out on their job like that. But we've watched a lot of movies over the years, and entertaining movies, where people have just had it with their job, had it with their boss, and they just pick up and leave. I mean, sometimes when you get to that breaking point, and this is kind of what we talked about back that time, sometimes you get to a breaking point where you just like, that's it, I'm out of here. That's it. And look, that was Jeff's breaking point. At this point, for all of the years that this guy has entertained us and still trying to do what he did 20 years ago, the fact that he was clean, completely clean. I invite anybody, go back and watch the footage of that match and when he left. And you try to show me where Jeff was out of it.
Right.
In rough shape. If you're getting beat down in storyline in a match and you're selling getting beat, show me where Jeff was in rough shape. It's disrespectful. So I am just extremely happy. Not that we were right, because a lot of you out there thought this as well. But the fact that now we know that when he walked out, he wasn't under the influence of anything. Number one, other companies, if Jeff does want to do a little bit for AEW, if he wants to work an indie show, if he wants to go here, at least nobody is going to troll him about drugs and alcohol in 2022, unless somebody wants to go back all those years with drugs. You can't use that as a dart or to throw shade if he works for another company. That rests Tony Khan's mind at ease. It should rest the fans' mind at ease. It should also rest the minds of any wrestlers who may be working with the guy or working against the guy. So the fact that this guy, after everything, he was fucking clean. That is the most important thing. This guy is clean, had nothing in his system, and that should be celebrated. Very, very happy to hear that. If he never steps back in the ring again, which he will, obviously, the Hardys are reuniting, but if he were to never step back in the ring and say, look, I'm happy, I don't want to wrestle anymore, at least we don't have the last sentence in that chapter that he relapsed.
Yeah.
So I love it. I love it.
Very good.
Anything else you want to say before we go?
No.
Oh, we're good. We're out of here. We're out of here. Everyone, special shout out to Nir Ofei from Israel. Nir, I saw your email right before we went live, and I'm glad that you're doing better. I'm glad your wife is doing better. I don't want to get too personal publicly, but let's just say the C word ran rampant in that family. to the point that the H word came into play. And, look, COVID is no joke. It's, I'm glad you're doing better. I'm glad your wife is doing better. And, stay strong. And that goes out to everyone out there, because I know a lot of you have been dealing with this, either yourselves or people you know, people you love. Just stay safe, man. It's scary shit. But
it's getting better, though.
Yeah, when we talked about South Africa, it's happening. It's happening in Chicago. It's happening in New York. It's going to happen in other areas. And hopefully, by March, April, it's going to be pretty much out of here. It's going to be around for a few years, but it's not good. It's going to be an endemic, not a pandemic anymore. So,
right. Much love,
my friend. I see you tomorrow.
Too. Joe Punches has done 1 year with you, DT.
Oh, happy anniversary, Joe! Yeah. Awesome, man. That is freaking awesome. I know we had super chats off tonight. I forgot to enable it from last week, but I will definitely. I'll do that because I know some of you wanted to, send something in, but it's all right. I wanted to send something in this weekend. Much love, my friend. Yeah. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Peace.
All right, everybody. We're going to jet out of here. It's funny. We go an hour and 40 minutes, and it feels like it's an uber long time. We used to do 2.5, 3, 4 hours, but with all the shows that we do weekly now, we definitely need to keep them as tight as possible, because we don't expect you to tune into. That's why the timestamps are so freaking important. That's why I will continue doing timestamps. So this way you want to get right to a topic, or maybe you missed the show and you want to hear a conversation that we had or I had, and you could go back and you could go check it out. So I want to thank you all for hanging out tonight. Oh, the winner of the YouTube predictions contest. Congratulations to Kingsley Davies. He won the Royal Rumble predictions contest. A few people got only 3 wrong on their predictions, but he won the tiebreaker. He had his tiebreaker prediction of Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar. He predicted 11 minutes and 40 seconds. The actual match was 10 minutes and 15 seconds. So Kingsley Davies, you are the winner. Patreon, there's a lot more entries, so I will work on that tomorrow, Wednesday. Later this week, we will announce the winner. And, we'll do it again for Elimination Chamber. Now, for those that don't know the date and the start time for Elimination Chamber, it is Saturday, February 19th. It starts at 12 noon Eastern. So in about 2.5 weeks, we have Elimination Chamber. That event starts at 12 noon Eastern time. So you're going to get a whole bunch of pay-per-view reviews and recaps around 3 p.m., 3:30 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon. So you might want to start marking that on your calendars, not literally, but expect a lot of shows Saturday afternoon, the 19th, to do some recaps. So everyone, have a great night. Be well, stay safe. If you're part of our Patreon family, patreon.com/DonTony. Mish and I will be live tomorrow night at 10:05 p.m. It is an off-the-cuff episode, so join us live so you could join in on the conversation. I have a tournament idea that I want to maybe do live tomorrow. I will give a hint. It has to do with greatest video games of all time. We might do 80s and 90s to start, and then we may do another one with the 2000s to the 2020s. So we may do video games for your next tournament. So tune in tomorrow night, 10:05 p.m. Eastern. If not, join me Wednesday night at 10:05 after Dynamite. We will recap Dynamite. We will get into a little bit of NXT, and you see how much of that push they're showing about Carmelo Hayes. They're putting more buzz about Carmelo Hayes on the other TV shows with those little vignettes than they are with even Braun Breaker. Carmelo Hayes, fast track to the main roster. I think by summertime, Carmelo Hayes will be on Raw or SmackDown. So I am out of here. Have a good night, friends. Be well, stay safe, and I'll see you either tomorrow or Wednesday. Night, everybody.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the hosts. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.